Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Women in Around community. I'm Susan, and I'm here with Dr. Laurel, and today we're answering your questions straight from the heart of our community.
So happy to be here and supporting our community.
Well, everyone, we all know that our questions that come in are the basis for our show or our episode, and we're talking basically on this in this last couple of sessions on how we navigate our mood and metabolism, and we're really talking about my new book, The Overnight Diet. So there's no script, there's just science. We're going to be talking about experience. So let's just jump in and see what we're talking about today. This is the question that we got, one of them, and I put them all into one so that we can just go through it, as an episode. And the question is, what can help me with my metabolism? I'm going through the change of life and I'm noticing that I'm eating the same things and I'm gaining weight. So we really want to talk about how could we ignite metabolism so that there's a change is going to happen, but so that the change isn't devastating for you. Let's smooth it over. And so we're going to talk about three key points here, Dr. Laurel and myself, why strength training is non-negotiable, avoiding extreme deficits that trigger the starvation mode, and that really affects metabolism. And we, thank goodness, we have Dr. Laurel here. We're going to be talking about supporting our thyroid and hormonal health. And in fact, maybe, Dr. Laurel, we should start with that one because that seems to be the most important with all the things that we've discussed in the past. Supporting thyroid and hormonal health. How does that relate to our metabolism and as well as midlife? Does the hormonal change, are those hormonal changes more significant for thyroid, for example?
Yes, thank you. This is such an important area, especially for the female patients that you and I work with. I don't know about other practitioners, but I see so many women with thyroid issues that it's nearly an epidemic. I mean, this is a significant issue. And what our thyroid does is it's kind of the gas pedal for our metabolism. It and our adrenals work together to give us energy at a physical level as well as at a cellular level. And unfortunately, as we get older and our female hormones are changing and our stress levels are through the roof, it is taking a toll even on a healthy thyroid. So we want to make sure and nourish it as we age.
Yeah, thyroid is a big factor. I know I've always been on the borderline, always on the borderline. So I have to be careful. I know it's not on the agenda right now, but thyroid is very important. Can you tell us or talk? We could talk about what are some of the things that really affect thyroid? I could say one is stress. Stress affects thyroid. I know any kind of illness is stress. It seems like everything affects thyroid and excess caffeine. Can you comment on that? I'd really love to hear. I'm
Yes.
sure our audience would love to hear that too. Things that really do within our capacity affect our thyroid.
You're absolutely right. And there's a lot of people where it might be a subclinical case, where they're like, I don't get it. My doctor told me my thyroid's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But I just feel tired and my memory's not like it was and my skin's drier and I'm losing hair, like there's these things that hint at thyroid issues, but their doctor's done the basic testing and it's like, nope, your thyroid's fine. But there are these subclinical cases, and I have theories on why I am seeing so many cases these days. And it's like you said, it's stress. We have to remember too that a lot of clinical thyroid conditions are autoimmune, but autoimmune conditions are through the roof too. And one of the things that's affecting our thyroid overall, as well as autoimmune conditions, is all the toxins we're being exposed to today. And in
Right.
fact, I have to say, one of my dear teachers who was teaching me how to support people with thyroid issues, she'd been seeing patients for decades at that point, and she said, after Chernobyl, it became harder for me to treat thyroid conditions. And
Oh,
since
wow.
then, we've had Fukushima. And
Right.
so here is another toxic influence on our world where we have been, as a planet, exposed to the damage from those major incidents. And those are just
I
two
know.
events in the world that have
Yeah.
had a toxic influence. So stress is a toxin, but then we have all these chemicals around us and sometimes this damaging radioactive elements.
Well, so we don't wait till the end. How can we support our thyroid? Some nutrients maybe you could suggest, and uh, keeping stress low, of course, and not depleting ourselves, overworking. What else? Is there any nutrients or adaptogens? A couple that you could share with us to let us know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, having a high quality multivitamin is a really good step, both because some of the nutrients are antioxidants that might be supporting your body's detoxification process, but then the thyroid also loves particular trace minerals, like for our thyroid to function properly and for us to really have healthy thyroid hormones. We not only need iodine, we're also needing things like selenium. And, that's one of those nutrients that we don't always get a lot of from
Sure.
from our foods. And it is both extremely important for detoxification as well as having proper thyroid levels. And so you might as well be getting all those other nutrients too by picking a high quality multivitamin as opposed to, just taking an iodine supplement or something along those lines.
I do want to say something here. Again, I told you that we didn't script this, and so this just came to my mind that I'd like to put out there. Be careful with the supplements that people give you for thyroid. I remember once I was doing a podcast with someone, and there was someone there claiming to be, I'm just saying this, claiming to be a doctor. And when you really drill down, the training was not there because it wasn't there. It wasn't a tip of a regular training because they were advertising their product of thyroid and it had stimulants in the product. So people think they're supporting their thyroid when in fact they're just stimulating the nervous system to feel like you have more energy. So you have to be careful when you really look at thyroid supplements, the nutrients like A. I know A is very good for that. We have zinc, we have selenium, but you want things that are going to support the nutrient bases, like you just said, which is very, very important to hear, is when our detoxification systems are working optimally, it'll affect thyroid. It's in Chinese medicine, you never go right to the organ that's having the problem. You say, what is the reason for that? So detoxification, if we're sluggish, and that's our liver, let's say, for example, or our skin or our urinary tract, our bowel habits, everything, it goes on and on. You have to look at, again, and that's where naturopaths, I just adore you. It's the whole person we're talking about here, the holistic. And there are MDs that are doing that now, and osteopaths and naturopaths, the people that are really out there, and some chiropractors, and people that are really trying to look at the whole picture now, because that's really what you have to do, especially with thyroid. This wasn't supposed to be just a thyroid episode, so let's just continue with the other points because can I have help with my metabolism? One of the points I'd like to bring up is strength training. Strength training is non-negotiable, everyone. We start losing muscle mass. We do. I never thought I would. I used to be a personal trainer. I used to do 2 split workouts a day, lifting weights, etc. But guess what? As we get older, no matter what, we have to do some strength training. And I say, even if it's 5 minutes a day of just taking some dumbbells and lifting for the upper body. It doesn't mean, as we call our bat wings, are not going to go away necessarily, because that might take a little more work, especially as we get older. But we need to do some strength training. It'll hold us together. How do you feel about that, Dr. Laurel?
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many benefits to moving and exercise, but particular strength training and trying to build some muscle. Kind of think of your muscles as being a metabolism center of your body, where you're going to effectively burn sugar and help uh, prevent diabetes and other things that are messing up our metabolism.
I bring that up in my book, The Overnight Diet, how as I've changed, now I've been exercising since I'm young. I mean, I've always loved athletics and all sorts of things. And I'm noticing as I'm older now, because of that insulin resistance that you're talking about, it's very important that I pay attention to front loading my carbs, let's say at the beginning of the day, and then at the end, taper off, but do 2 activities a day because I'm sedentary. I'm at a computer or I'm writing, or so I'll walk in the morning, let's say, and do weights mid-afternoon to late, or not late evening, but later afternoon, or vice versa. And that's where, I mean, I help people design their programs to work with their metabolism as you do, I'm sure, with what you do. So the whole key here is strength training is non-negotiable. You need to be doing something for strength, not just cardio. And then the last point to help with this question, how do we help with metabolism? Avoid extreme deficits that trigger the starvation mode. I've spent years researching, my whole graduate work was on starvation and fasting. I've spent literally a decade or more studying it, practicing it, running my own experiments on it. And I can tell you, starvation mode, the body is a wonderful organism. It adapts. So if you're used to, like that happens to athletes, if they're used to exercising, let's say I used to try to run a lot, when you stop running, all of a sudden you start gaining weight because your body adapted to that. So we have to be careful how we orchestrate and plan what we're doing. So would you just like to speak to us a little bit about that, triggering the starvation mode and how that relates to things that you've seen in your clinical practice?
Absolutely. And this kind of goes to that really sage advice that we often share, which is when you're wanting to lose weight, your goal should be slow and steady wins the
Right,
race, like a pound a week. And why that is because the body kind of has these set points. The body tries to keep things balanced and normal and the same. It thinks like wherever you're at is the right place and its job is to maintain that. And so if you're too heavy, your body thinks it needs to maintain that. If you drop your weight really suddenly through starvation, the body thinks something is wrong and it's struggling to get back to what it thought was normal and
right.
healthy. So we need to go slow, both so we don't further damage our metabolism by starving our body and making our body think, oh my goodness, something's wrong. I'm starving, I have to conserve. As well as if we're losing weight really slowly, we're giving the body time to very slowly adjust that internal set point it has for itself.
It's interesting when I work with clients, there are 3 factors I've been doing for decades for people that I work with diet and optimal mood and metabolism. And what happens is I look at the timing of meals, the timing of sleep, the timing of exercise, movement, the timing of meditation, the timing of whatever they have in their lifestyle. Timing is very, very important because circadian rhythms come into play. Then I work with quality, what we eat, the quality of even our exercise, what we're doing, the quality. Then I work with quantity, and that's always the last. But I remember we had a discussion maybe a week or two ago where we discussed eating in the morning to rev things up. Now, I've always been a person who skips breakfast. Now, as I'm older, I don't skip breakfast. I do once in a while if I've eaten late at night, for example, or if I just don't feel like eating, but that's rare. Now I see the benefit. But what I really see the benefit to life right now, as far as keeping the body healthy, and it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to combat. So write in, everyone, if this is something for you. It's very difficult not to eat in between meals. You know, you're sitting at your computer, you want to eat something. I find that by not eating in between meals, it's an amazing experience. My body's adapting, just what you talked about, Dr. Laurel. It's adapting to being safe. It doesn't want to hold on to the food because it knows it's going to be getting something. And it allows the complete digestion and detoxification, absorption, and letting go, elimination to actually take place. And that's why the
Yes.
overnight diet, when I wrote that, it's again at night we detoxify. So all the things that have come in during the day, those chemicals that we talk about, need to be swept out of the body. But if we eat late at night, the body can't do its job. Your body is a beautiful orchestration of life and the way it's created. So we need to respect that. And we need to do that with a very, very skillful mind and also knowledge. And that's what we're all about in the sense of giving you some knowledge that you could work with yourself. Do your own research, do your research on yourself, and you'll see what's right and what's not right. Because there's a lot of what I call false prophets, PROFITS, that are telling you to do this and this and this and this. And a lot of it is false information. So just be aware. Is there anything you want to say before we close up? Because I hope this helped, something related to metabolism that people can use.
Yes, I just wanted to say I do really love that approach that you shared in the overnight diet because it does
Yeah.
help us on so many levels. As you were saying, when we're fasting overnight, it gives our body space to detoxify. We also talked in another episode by how fasting overnight helps the us have healthy bacteria in the gut, and these are all very important aspects of our metabolism. Having fewer toxins, having healthier gut bacteria are some of the steps that help rev up our metabolism. So it's all just so interconnected. And as you said, whenever we're supporting our body with its natural, healthy orchestra sorry, you know what I mean, then we are supporting our health on multiple levels and feeling more vital as well as looking great.
Well, thank you for that. And thanks for coming again today. I always enjoy having dialogue with you, Dr. Laurel. And if today's episode inspired you or gave you any information, please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. It really, really helps. Or pass it along to somebody you think might benefit. And I would just like to say thank you for coming and listening. And thank you, Dr. Laurel, for being here with us today. And again, we both would love to hear any comments, any concerns, any future questions that you might have on for this. Mood and metabolism is what we're focusing on now. We would love to have that and love to actually have this discussion and assist you on your journey. And again, if today's episode was helpful, give us a thumbs up or subscribe. We want you to come and enjoy and be part of the community conversations. And until next time, stay happy, stay calm, and most importantly, stay strong.